What's up, guys? As most of you know, the XFL just started last weekend and actually was pretty good. Was much better than I anticipated. And this is somebody who did enjoy the AAF before it closed prematurely. I did think that there was something there with the AAF, but this felt like the XFL felt like a more thought out, more polished, realized version of what the AAF could be, which is a sustainable spring football league. There are a lot of things that the XFL really knocked out the park with its first weekend. And I really do think that this has the future and the money behind it that the AAF ultimately didn't have. The level of play is good. There's a lot of good things. First good thing I want to talk about is just their commitment financially to these coaches. Now, I don't know the number, but it does seem like they were able, not just at the head coach level, because the AAF did have some good head coaches, but, from the assistant level to the coordinator level, they really invested in quality coaches, experienced coaches. And I think they allowed those coaches a lot of time to learn these rules and a lot of time to kind of get the players and the teams polished for the start of the season. Because you notice in the line play, especially, it's so much better than the AAF was. The polish on this league, there were less procedural penalties than the AAF had. The game's not as sloppy. Yeah, sure, it's not going to be as smooth as like top tier level, college football or top tier level NFL, but it rides a nice balance and it's unique enough and it's interesting enough to hold my interest. So I have to applaud the XFL on being able to spend the money where they need it to on the coaches in order to bring in a more polished product. I think that really helped put this league over the top compared to the AAF because the coaching just looked a lot better. These players looked more disciplined. They looked like they actually knew what to do most of the time, and maybe that had to do with the headset rules. But either way, whatever they're doing, wherever they put their money into, it is working so far because these are the same caliber of player that were in the AAF, but they look so much better and the game's so much cleaner now, which means that the coaching has to be better. The second thing I really enjoyed from this last weekend's XFL games is the quality of broadcast. Bad broadcast can kill a product faster than anything. We will watch football on any level. Football is one of those sports that scales really well. People will watch in person, at least, high school football in certain regions of the country. Texas and Ohio, even Florida has pretty good attendance numbers when it comes to that. People will watch college football at all levels, FCS, double A, and then there's even Division III college football that people will watch. And then, of course, we'll watch Power 5, Group of 5 college football as well. And then people will also watch NFL football. So football as a sport scales well. Canadian football as well can be included into that. Football as a sport scales well, right? So you can watch it from all different tiers. Normally what sets apart those tiers is the quality of broadcast. And as somebody who was a fan of an FCS team for a little while and had to watch a lot of ESPN3 broadcasts, I know that bad broadcast quality can kill any momentum a team has on television really fast. So I thought it was really imperative that the XFL had professional level broadcast. And they knocked it out the park. This broadcast, the 3 hours that these games play because the pace is so fast, goes by like this. You feel like you're watching professional football. The broadcast quality itself, the way they are able to find a balance between having the coaches on the headset live and having the quarterback live and having the commentators talk is great. Very, very, very good. The sideline interviews during the game add a lot to the game. Also, I think the biggest factor in making sure you have a good broadcast is they were able to sell enough tickets to make the game sound right. And anybody who's watched like MAC football on like Tuesdays when they used to do that, or any non-Power Five school, you notice if there's low attendance at a game and there's not really people there, football sounds so weird and so odd when there's no ambient crowd noise. And the XFL was able to mic up, they only had 17,000 people, which is small for a football game, but that's NBA numbers. Like that's a sellout in the NBA stadium, so keep that scale in mind. So it's actually pretty good to sell 17,000 tickets. So they were able to get enough people in there to where it made good ambient sound where it sounded like football. Again, anybody who's watched empty arena football knows that it can not be fun to watch. But the next thing I thought the XFL also did really great was I touched on this earlier with the coaching, but I'm just going to get a little bit into more detail with it. The level of play, more polished. In the AAF had awful offensive line play, just bad. I know the hit with Verkovici getting hit went viral, but that's kind of a testament to the bad offensive line play that plagued that league for most teams. I think there were like two teams, the San Antonio one and the Birmingham one, which was made of all Alabama alumni almost, were the only two teams that were able to have decent offensive lines, and they dominated the league because of that. What it looked like this weekend was that I wasn't noticing the bad offensive line play as much as I noticed it throughout the 6 or 7 weeks of the AAF was a thing. So that is a huge deal. The offensive line play not being awful and actually looking serviceable, that's a huge deal for making sure the football is watchable. Again, the teams seem more in sync. They seem more in tune with what they're doing. This is more polish on the team. There seemed like there was more chemistry than some of the AAF things where it looked like very, very temporary, kind of like Senior Bowl installs of offenses where you could tell these guys feel like they're learning something for maybe 2 months and they're not really committing to it like a season. The XFL felt like these teams actually committed to these offenses. The next thing is the less procedural penalties was also very good. The cleaner football and the quarterback play was much better than the AAF. Just look at PJ Walker, was able to get 4 touchdowns and really dazzle a lot of people. I mean, that if he could continue that level of play, not necessarily 4 touchdowns, but to play that well, that's a star-making performance. That's what people want to watch. And it's not like he was getting it because it was so easy. He was making plays. These guys aren't getting open just because the players aren't competent on defense. These guys are able to make plays. It's football. I don't know how to describe it any better than that, but when you watch it, you feel like you're not watching people who stink at football play football. You feel like you're watching football, and that's a great thing because sometimes the AF didn't feel like that. I watched a lot of the Apollos games, the Orlando Apollos games, and Garrett Gilbert was able to dominate in that league just because they had some bad defensive back play. The defenses just weren't in sync with each other. And the quarterback play being better, oh my goodness, that's such a good thing for this league because even the best quarterback, Garrett Gilbert of the AAF, man, like it wasn't fun to watch, and good quarterback play, that's really going to set this league apart. The next thing that I thought really was a testament to how well they planned the league was that the new rules worked, and they worked to a point to where I didn't even notice a lot of the new rules. And when I say, obviously, I know that the kickoffs look different. I know that they didn't kick extra points. They had everybody go for 1, 2, or 3. But what I'm saying by didn't notice is I didn't need a 2-paragraph long explanation on why this is different and how they changed up this specific rule to work with it. Like the AAF had a lot of that with their onside kicks and some of their different rules there with the no kickoffs, where it just felt like you had to kind of learn the league first before you could enjoy the product. I didn't feel like I needed to watch a 10-minute rules video about what the AAF rules are. I just watched the first game, the DC game, and the new rules as they came up made sense. Didn't require a ton of explanation. Honestly, I didn't even need anybody to explain to me what the deal was with the end of end of score conversion thing with the 2, 3, and 1 point conversions after the touchdowns, because it just made sense with how they had the graphics on the broadcast. And that's good broadcast, and that's good rule implementation where, something looks different, but you don't really got to explain it to me. And I think that's what plagued things like arena football. It plagued things like the AAF, where they had these new inventive rules, but they were so out there that they had to be explained to too much to get people to be involved. I feel like anybody who watches a good amount of football, which is going to be anybody who want to watch the XFL, they can sit down, watch one broadcast of one game, understand the new rules, really not have a ton of questions. And that is huge, because look at the NFL. One of their biggest problems when they implement new rules is that they make it to where you spend so much damn time debating whether the rule should exist, how the rule is implemented. I mean, every time I was at a Browns game this year and a flag got thrown, I would say about 40 to 50% of the time, me and the person at the game would have to have a conversation of what rules are effective where and when that flag should be thrown, and is that a violation of the rules? Those kind of conversations are not fun. Even for a football nerd like me, nobody likes to have those conversations. So the fact that the XFL with the broadcast, having the refs mic'd up when they go to review, and it kind of eliminates those conversations that you have to have, so you can just focus on the actual football being played. And the new rules didn't require this level of explanation that I think normally prohibits new leagues from being successful. So hats off to Oliver Luck, who was able to test out all of these rules through the spring league and all that, and actually found some things that worked. I mean, the new kickoff, it's weird when you see it the first time because nobody moves until the ball gets touched. So it looks really weird when they cover it like a traditional kickoff. But it makes sense. Honestly, it makes a ton of sense. And you still get your kickoff. The football game still feels like it's starting off normal. You still get that play. And, it makes a ton of sense. Even some of the more complex rules, like if the ball goes out of bounds, it ends up on the other team's 45 normally. Or if the punt goes out of bounds, there's no coffin kick. That's all very, understandable within one sentence, right? And it only takes one or two sentences throughout an entire game for that to get drilled in your head. Like, oh, yeah, that can't happen. So the rules being explainable and accessible is a huge deal, because it kind of takes out a lot of the labor that it normally takes to watch football at a collegiate or NFL level. And it just allows you to sit back for 3 hours and watch the XFL. It's an easy watch. If you're a football fan, I think that's the most important thing. It's an easy watch and it feels like football, which is what you want from a spring league. You don't want something as intense as the NFL right after the Super Bowl, but what you do want to see is just football that you can enjoy, that you don't got to be so tied to and so intense about, but it's a good 3 hours to watch. And, hats off to that. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Vince McMahon running WWE for so many years, running television shows for so many years, that he knows what a good broadcast should look and sound like, regardless of the sport. And a lot of it goes to Vince McMahon, being hands off and letting Oliver Luck also take care of the football side and take care of the things on the field and really get that time to let it work. I know a lot of people laughed at this league, when they first announced 2 years in and they were practicing things at Division III colleges and at the spring league, and they look really like minor league because of that, especially like their draft and stuff. But I think it all paid off. So that's my impressions of the XFL. That's why I liked it. And if you haven't watched the XFL, I would say give it a shot this weekend. I would watch the Defenders versus New York game. It's going to be on ABC. It's like at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Watch that game. Decide if it's for you. But I think it's definitely worth a chance. I think it's definitely worth giving it a shot, viewing it, seeing if you enjoy it. Because, if you're a football fan or you're somebody who would watch this kind of a channel, I think there's real appeal there for you. And I think there's really something there to watch with this. Now, how long it lasts is a bigger question. They have a budget for 3 years, so that's promising. And I think this league's going to gain more popularity as stories come out during the season. Like, hey, PJ Walker was in the XFL. Now he's starting for this team, and now he has a chance to make his, once those stories come out, it's going to make the XFL feel like more of a thing to watch because you're going to see some people who are going to be on some NFL rosters. But again, that's my thoughts of the XFL. Let me know your thoughts. Were you surprised by the quality of play, or were you not impressed by the XFL at all? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified. But have a great day and have a good night.